Hi everyone! I am so excited today to talk with you about a topic that is so important to me and also is so important and impacts so many lives. In fact, if you have ever had a job, most likely you have had to interview for a job. And this is something that has impacted so many people, but people don't understand how to interview. And so many people, when they go for a job and they try to interview for that job, they don't get the job, and then they wonder, why? Why didn't I get that job? What happened? And it's funny because the majority of people do not know how to effectively interview. And because they don't know how to interview, they fumble through the interview and then they end up not getting the job of their dreams because of something as simple as a mistake during an interview. So trust me, everyone, I've been there. I think almost every person has been there, but that's why we have this video, because today I'm going to show you 6 steps to help you in your interviewing skills and to help you win that next interview and to land that job. All right? So before we get into it, first off, I think the most important thing is you have to first get the interview. And I'll have a completely separate video that I'm going to do on how to get the interview, but I'm going to give a little quick tip here. The most important thing for getting an interview is networking. Networking, networking, networking. You have to network with the people around you and figure out if you know people who are in the company that you're interested in. Network with them, connect with them on LinkedIn, have informational interviews with them. I have a completely separate video that will discuss all of that, but just the first thing you have to do is land the interview. In this video, we're not going to talk so much about landing the interview. We're going to talk about what to do after you have landed the interview. So let's say you landed the interview. Your interview is next week. You have 3 days to prepare. First step, research the company. And do everything you can. So start with the company's website. Go on there. Look, see what is the company's mission? What is their vision? What technologies do they produce? What is their purpose? Learn about their technologies. Is there additional information on their technology? Can you go on YouTube and find out more information? Can you talk to other people who work in the company? Do whatever you can to figure out everything about the job that you are applying for and the company you're applying for, and learn as much as you can about their technology or their services or whatever it might be that that company is providing. Understand their mission, understand their vision, understand the employees that work there. Do as much research as possible, and this will help prepare you. So when you're in the interview, you are not caught off guard by a question about, let's say, their technology. So I had this. I interviewed for a company and I didn't do the proper research, and they asked me, oh, well, what do you think about this technology? And I wasn't able to answer that question. So don't make the same mistake as me. Research, research, research. Step number 1. All right, moving on to step number 2. Step number 2 is to think in advance about the questions that are going to be asked of you. Think about the questions that the interviewers are going to ask of you, and then develop answers to those questions. So you might ask, well, how do I know what questions they're going to ask me? Well, that's a great question. The best way to go about figuring that out is to go online, and you can figure out and see a whole bunch of commonly asked questions. So there are a lot of companies nowadays that ask fairly common questions. Why do you want the job? What is your strength? What is your weakness? What do you want why do you want to be here? What do you think you can contribute to the team? Explain to me an experience when you showed communication skills, or tell me of an experience when you had to deal with a difficult employee or another fellow coworker. So just do your research, figure out in general what questions you think they're going to ask, and develop answers to those questions so they do not catch you off guard. Because you don't want to be in an interview and they say, okay, tell me about one weakness that you have. And then you're like, crickets, 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 because you can't think of anything. Or you're like, well, I'm a really big slob, but I don't want to tell them I'm a slob and that's my weakness. So you need to think about this in advance, and think about in advance how you're going to answer these questions. Step number 2 is think about the questions that are going to be asked and already have pre-developed answers for those questions. Step number 3. So this goes hand in hand with step number 2, but step number 3 is use the STAR method to answer your questions. So you might ask, what is STAR? STAR stands for situation, task, action, and result. So let me give an example. They ask, can you tell me about a time that you had to communicate with multiple stakeholders? Situation. Yes, I was in this situation and had to do X, Y, Z. Task. I was assigned X, Y, Z. Action. I took this action, then R, to get this result. And this was the result of my actions. When you formulate a response that uses the STAR method, it provides a clear and concise answer for the interviewers, and they have a better understanding of how you function and what your capabilities are. So again, situation, task, action, and result. What happened, what you did about it, and what the result was. So when you're formulating your answers to questions in step number 2, use this STAR method to formulate those answers. And this will also help you to be concise when answering questions. Because I've been personally on interview boards, and I'm one of the interviewers, and I will ask a candidate a simple question. Tell me a time when you had to use communication skills. And they will go on for 10 to 20 minutes talking about communication skills. And by the end of it, my head is spinning to the point where I'm like, this person obviously cannot speak clearly and concisely, and I don't even know if they answered the question. But you can avoid that by using the STAR method and being clear and concise about what action you took and what the result was. So step number 3 is use the STAR method. All right, now it's time for the interview. Step number 4, you're about to walk into the interview. You're nervous, you're sweating, you're so anxious. I recommend prior to any interview, relax. Step number 4 is to relax. Do whatever you can to relax, at least an hour before your interview. If that means when you get there, you go into the bathroom, take a deep breath in, take a deep breath out, do some breathing, do some meditation, whatever it might be that helps you to relax, do that before the interview. So some people are frantically trying to get everything together and make sure all their answers are correct and everything. Don't do that an hour before the interview. Tell yourself to relax. Relax. Do what you can to relax. Moving on to step number 5. Now you're relaxed, you're ready for the interview. You go into the interview. They start asking you questions. You're using the STAR method to answer those questions, and you are prepared to answer those questions. You've done research on the company. You can answer whatever question they throw your way. Now they ask you, do you have any questions of us? Step number 5. Always ask the interviewers questions. Do not just say, oh no, I have no questions. Thanks though for your time. Because that shows a lack of interest. That shows them that, okay, she obviously isn't serious about this job because she doesn't even have any questions for us. She doesn't want to know more about it. She doesn't want to know about the company or the culture. So always have questions to ask the interviewers. So typically what I will do is I will write down questions in advance that I'm going to ask the interviewers. What is the culture of the company? What is the dynamic of your team? What do the job duties entail? So on and so forth. That being said, though, do not ask certain questions. Don't ask, how much am I going to get paid? What are the hours like? Can I get out early? Do I really have to work 40 hours a week? Don't ask those type of questions because that will immediately show them that, oh, she's not committed. She just wants an easy job. So that being said, always ask clear and honest and good questions of the interviewers to show your interest in the company and in the job. Step number 5, ask the interviewers questions. Okay, guys, we made it. One more step. The last step. Step number 6. Now you've gone through the interview. You've answered all the questions using the STAR method. You've asked questions of the interviewers. You've shown that you are interested in this job and that you are sincerely a good candidate. The interview is over. Step number 6, follow up and send a thank you. And then let the results go. So I always recommend after the interview, follow up, maybe a day or later that day, follow up with them via email and say, thank you so much, so-and-so, for your time. I really appreciated that you took the time to interview me and tell me more about the company. I am very interested in this position and hope that you find me to be a good candidate. Please let me know what the next steps are. So do a clear follow-up with them and you're thanking them for their time. And that will show professionalism, that you are sincerely interested in this job, you are a professional, you thank them for their time, and you let the results go. Because ultimately at this point, you've done everything in your power to get this job. And now you let the results go. And that's the hardest part, is letting those results go. Because guess what? You could still have them come back and not give you the job. But you will have learned how to interview, you have practiced your interview skills, and you will be ready for the next job interview and for that next job opportunity. So, guys, if you like this material, I ask that you please hit the like button and subscribe because that really does help my channel. And also, I'm hoping that this provides value to you and that this is something that you can really utilize to help you land that dream job. So with that, I thank you and I look forward to next time.